What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy Shed for coming through and boosting the coin up. So, as you've seen by the title, and as you can see on your screen right now, Conor Benn has officially broken his silence. Listen, end of the day, man, this cat here took my advice. I don't care what no one says. This goofy weren't planning on making no statement. Let's just call a spade here, yeah? These guys had 5 days to make a statement. No one was even critiquing the Don either. Everyone was like, yeah, great play, Conor. Yeah, great play. All of a sudden, YB comes out and tells people, listen, this team is low IQ. And once again, Eddie Hearn and everyone else trying to catch up with the news. It's honestly mad how these mans are making millions of dollars to be managers. Millions of dollars to be managers. And you're always in catch-up mode. Always scrambling. It's always messy, isn't it? I don't know. Is it just me? AJ's career, Conor's career. It seems to be managed in a messy fashion. Super duper messy. You know what I'm saying? You wonder what these mans are... What's the point in paying management teams and PR teams and God knows what to be sloppy like this? Anyway, let's get to it. So, 5 days after the event, yeah? Hours, half a day after the BBBOC tells the public Conor Benn's dropped his licence, rather than getting ahead of the news, listen, if it's going to come out anyway, you might as well be the ones to tell it and build some rapport with the public. Hey public, I want you to be the first to know I've dropped my belt because of ABCD. That's what you might as well do if it's going to... Now listen, if it ain't going to come out, fair enough. Yeah, if you can keep it, if you know it's going to be 100% quiet, then yeah. But if it's coming out anyway, it's no good now. And now it looks like you're firefighting. Now whatever Conor Benn says in this message, yeah, no one going to believe it. Okay, it's like, well, if you had genuine intentions, why didn't you tell us that 5 days ago? Why are you only telling us after the board has told us? That tells us there's nothing genuine. That tells us you was hoping and praying it wouldn't come out, innit? Because for someone who's positive, for someone who really believes what they're doing, they want to tell their supporters and their people what's going on. Now, someone who's slimy, maybe the board ain't gonna tell no one, and we can just keep it hush hush, just like the test was. And let's not forget that, people, as well. Consistently, Conor Benn's team has been slimy. If no one knows, and these guys aren't learning from their mistakes. You just got caught slipping with the tests, and once again, you drop your license, something that's never been done before, and you're behind the news again. Anyway, let's get to it. Here we go. And the worst thing is, Conor can't even address his people as himself. Clearly, his management team's written this, and it's like, well, Conor might as well own it at this point. Conor's focus at this time is solely on clearing his name. Well, no, it's not. His focus at this time is about trying to drop the license and trying to find a slimy way to carry on boxing. That's what his focus is on. Because if Conor was focused on clearing his name, why would you drop his license for? The license don't need to be dropped if you're going to clear your name. Oops. The only way your license needs to be dropped if you're trying to find some legal loophole to get you out of the repercussions of your actions. None of which has anything to do with clearing your name. Anyway, next bar. Next fake news. The board, however, has made it extremely difficult for Conor to focus on doing that by its conduct of an unfair and biased procedure. In such circumstances, Conor decided not to renew his license, which had lapsed. Conor told the board that if it did not accept that his license had lapsed, then he renounces it. So yeah, all this waffle saying is Conor has decided to drop his belt. Anyone can say that, I've been treated unfairly, so I'm dropping my belt. That's convenient. Because guess what? Listen. It's a shame he didn't say that 6 months ago. Oops. Yeah? Listen, if you're being treated so unfairly, tell us that at a time. Don't try and put a slimy fight on, which, by the way, I would have watched it. I'm not saying I'd rather it happen, but I'm just saying. Since you're in the position you're in, you knew the board was... You got popped. You've been popped. You already got popped. Yeah? You could have come out there and said, listen, I've been popped. And the way they're acting's off key. I'm dropped my belt. And this fight ain't happening no more. But no, you didn't do that. Yeah, when the board was going along with your conspiracy, yeah, Oh, there was no... Wait a minute. Where was all your complaints of unfair and biased when they was going along and keeping everything hush? You was out there puffing your chest out, talking about whatever else you was saying. About how you was going to knock Eubank Jr.'s bonds off for him. That's what you were saying. You weren't sitting there, oh, my licence need to be dropped. Anyway, it goes on. He strongly refutes the allegation of misconduct. He strongly refutes the allegation of misconduct, which for the avoidance of doubt is not in relation to the VADA issue, and firmly believes that an independent tribunal will reach a wholly different conclusion. I'm not even sure what that paragraph means. He strongly refutes the allegation of misconduct, okay? So he doesn't believe he's super duper juicy, which for the avoidance of doubt is not in relation to the VADA test. I ain't got a clue what this dude's talking about. I ain't got a clue. Which for the avoidance of doubt is not in relation to the VADA issue. He strongly refutes the allegation of misconduct. So he doesn't believe his... I'm not even sure what that means. I ain't got a clue what that means. I think what he's saying is, he agrees he's juiced, he agrees the tests were dirty, but he's arguing against the misconduct claim. Listen, Conor, man, if you've been caught juicing, yeah, that is what they call misconduct, is it not? I don't know, you might tell me. Oh no, I'm a raging juicehead, but I'm a raging juicehead, but I'm a non-criminal one. This guy... Who paying these guys? I'm telling you now, who paying these multi-million-dollar team to come up with this waffle? You might, honestly, given the fact that you didn't get in front of this, you might as well have stayed quiet. Truth be known, based on what I'm reading here, you should have been quiet. Yeah, you didn't get ahead of it. You haven't been able to control the narrative, and now you're backpedaling, and your backpedaling looks shocking. Your backpedaling's waffle to the highest degree. And listen, I'm someone who, I've got a semi-career in waffling. Yeah, I know what waffle sounds like. This is waffle, 100%. At the appropriate time, Conor will speak out on this and on the doping allegation. Well, no, it's not an allegation. Yeah, it's not an allegation. You popped. Yeah, about allegation. You've been caught juiced off your bonds. Simple as that. There's nothing allegation about it. You was juiced off your Nelly. And if you weren't, you'd have been saying, listen, innocent. Told you before. You ain't trying to hear no more about the Brentford 2. Eddie Hearn and Conor Trenn are claiming to be the Brentford 2. Eddie Hearn's latest interview, me and Conor, innocent! 100%. That's what they've been shouting. Innocent! Brentford 2. No doubt about it. Yeah? Conor Benn, Eddie Hearn. If you type it on Google, the Brentford 2. Yeah, they're claiming... What's that thing called again? They're claiming... I'm not sure what they call it, but at the end of the day, man, they're claiming to be innocent, bottom line. Yeah? They're saying they've been... wrong, that's it, wrongful conviction. They've been wrongly convicted. Yeah? They've been wrongly convicted and they're innocent. That's what the Brentford 2 are saying right now. The Brentford 2 are all the way out of Essex. Innocent! Innocent! Clown sound and asses. At the appropriate time, Conor will speak out on this and on the doping allegation. To the extent that he can. You know what I'm sick of hearing? I'm sick of hearing the lie about, we heard it. Remember, we had this with Dillian White. In fact, we had it with Dillian White on multiple occasions. We had it with Dillian White when he was going through his juice gate. And we also had it with Dillian White in his whole arbitration. I can't speak. Lawyers. That's bullshit, by the way, people. Don't get me wrong. Lawyers will probably advise you not to comment. But there's nothing stopping your comment. That's bullshit. And I believe if you're innocent, yeah, obviously, if the truth is you're innocent, naturally there will be evidence, circumstantial or physical, that supports that, because the truth is the truth. Now, of course, there are cases where the truth is hard, difficult to prove, but still, there'll always be little bits and bobs around the place. At the worst, the best case is there'll be huge physical pieces of fact you can't deny. But I've never seen a situation where something of truth has happened and there's no way to prove it, circumstantially or otherwise. These guys, innocent, and so far, they haven't even put together a timetable. They haven't even put together a timeline of That's the first thing I'd have been doing. If I was $1 million management team for Conor Benn, yeah, the first thing this came out, I'd have put a timeline out. He popped on this date with VADA. He had a clean test with VADA the week after. He had a clean test with UCAD the week before. And so everyone's clear. This particular chemical was tested in all tests, UCAD and VADA. Boom. That's the first thing I'd have led with that. Before I said anything, here's a timeline of clean tests before and after. Assuming that is the case. Now, Eddie Hearn's a legend. Oh, Eddie Hearn's waffled. Oh, it's clean. Don't, Eddie, listen. Don't tell us there's clean. Oh, why he's been clean before. Listen, where's the timeline at? People don't want to hear your waffle. People want to see a document which outlines the dates, which then VADA can come back and say, actually, no, Eddie, you're lying. Yeah? But I find it dodgy that Eddie's, oh no, it's dodgy, it's contamination because he was clean before and he was clean after. But yet Eddie won't put anything out there physical that potentially UCAD or VADA could refute. I think that's the only explanation. Why hasn't Team Benn put out a clear timeline that backs them up? We've heard Eddie Hearn waffling, which really isn't really legally binding as such. The only explanation why they haven't done that is because there ain't no timeline of clean tests. We also have circumstantial evidence backing up that point of there not being no clean tests. Because Nigel Benn came out and said, oh yeah, he'd been popping for the last 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So most likely it's Eddie Hearn waffling. And if it's not Eddie Hearn waffling, where is it at? That's the first thing you should do, in my mind. And there's nothing legally prejudicial about giving the public the timeline of clean tests before and after. I don't want to hear no more about, we can't say too much. Explain that to me. Someone explain to me how Conor Benn putting out evidence that supports his case, bearing in mind he's alleging for it to be the truth. So no judge, no lawyer can stop you from telling the truth. Now what a lawyer will say is, listen, a lawyer will say, don't tell no lies in public, because that for sure will get you jammed up. If you're out there spurting lies, oh, here's a document that proves I was clean before and clean after, and it's lies, that's what they'll tell you not to do. Because you get caught, then you're in double whammy. He's guilty, look, he even made a fake news document up that was purely fake. He never had a clean test by VADA before, he never had a clean test by UCAD after, or whatever. And unfortunately, that's the way it's looking right now. That's the way it's looking. The best piece of evidence I've heard, or the best claim I've heard from them is he was clean before and he was clean after. But yet they've given, me personally, if that was the case, I'd be putting out, I believe, I've heard, after a UCAD test, yeah, you get some sort of documentation. After a VADA test, you get some documentation. Never mind a timeline. With the timeline, I'd have put out the snapshots of the test. Look, boom, here's a timeline. I was clean before the 13th, I was clean after, here's a timeline of that, and also, boom, here's the clean tests from the 6th of September, and here's the clean tests of the 20th of September, assuming he popped on the 13th of September. That, for me, if I saw that, I'd be out here saying, listen, man, what can I say? If it's clean before and clean after, oops, that for me is an oops moment. But instead, we've heard waffle, we've heard no paperwork, and the man talking about legal. But I ain't trying to hear that one. I'm sorry, yeah, people who don't give no supporting evidence publicly, and all they talk about is, I can't say nothing, it's with the lawyers. For me, it's just guilty. I'm sorry, it's just guilty. Because the truth always has supporting evidence to it. It's happened. Something that happened, yeah? If it's happened, it's there. It can't not happen. What you can't provide evidence for is obviously lies. Lies don't exist. Yeah? So there ain't no documents and whatever else or circumstantial points backing up lies. And what have we seen? To this day, what have we seen? Eddie Hearn keeps saying, Eddie Hearn's been saying for a month now, oh yeah, Conor Benn gonna come out. In fact, I remember about 3 weeks ago, Eddie Hearn said, oh yeah, in 24 hours, Conor Benn's gonna come out and you man are gonna be shocked at what you hear. What happened to that one? Now, don't get me wrong, Eddie Hearn's been saying in the last 24 hours, Conor Benn's coming out in 48 hours and it's something shit hot, you wait till you get it. Everyone's gonna be sorry. But Eddie, you said the same thing 3 weeks ago. I kid you not. When it's kicked off, Eddie Hearn off the jump said, oh yeah, Conor Benn coming out. He coming out with something, oh, you lot are going to have to wind your beaks in. Building it all up. I'm sorry, yeah. It don't take this long. It just don't. And guess what? If it does take this long, the things I've suggested in terms of the timeline and supporting evidence of that timeline, i.e. the paperwork for the clean tests, if your multi-million-dollar team can't get that together in a day, I don't know what you're paying them for. But outside of that, if it does take longer to draw a timeline up and collate the supporting evidence of the clean tests, guess what you do? You tell the public that. Here's the outline of the clean test timeline, and we've requested the paperwork for VADA and UCAD showing we were clean on the 6th a week before and on the 20th a week after. And when we get it, you'll have it. Boom. The expected date will be within the next 2 weeks, and if I was Team Ben, I'd be putting it out every day. 5 days from now, we're going to have the fire to air all you pagans out. Yeah, 5 days from now, we're going to have the receipt. We're going to have the what do they call it? Whatever, we're going to have the receipts, bottom line. Instead, we've had silence. We've had my man innocent, Brentford 2. Yeah, we've had the Brentford 2 shouting innocent. We've had the Brentford 2 screaming innocent as they get into the prison van, leaving the court. Innocent! Yeah, 100%. And we've had, I got to speak to the lawyers. Oh, it's the lawyers, mate. Oh, it's the lawyers, mate. That don't cut it. Oh, and by the way, we've had, actually, I'm dropping my belt. I'm dropping my license, sorry. I'm innocent, but I'm dropping my belt. Someone explain that to me, please. I'm begging. I beg. Someone explain that one to me. I'm baffled. I'm baffed on this one. Of all the things your team could be doing to prove your innocence, dropping your belt is genuinely. Let's think of a list of things you could do. I've already explained, for me, at the top of the list of things you could do to not even necessarily prove, but at least imply you're innocent. Of all the actions a man could take, yeah, to imply his innocence, let me tell you what would be the last one of those. In fact, let me tell you what's potentially the most damning against his innocence. Genuinely. Of all the things he could do. Apart from a picture being put out of him with a big juicy needle in his backside. Apart from that, him dropping his license, for me, that's the next best thing to being stinky guilty. And I'm completely unbiased. I don't really care either way, truth be known. It makes a scrap of difference to me. I'm not some of these guys that come on here grandstanding. Oh, it's a travesty. Oh, it's sport. I couldn't give a fuck, truth be known. Again, like I said, I'd have watched the fight. I'd have preferred, me, if I had a choice, if I had a big red button I could push and the fight would have happened, I'd push it right now. I just don't care. I'm not bothered at all. I'm bothered about being entertained. That's the bottom line. I'm not here to be here grandstanding. Yeah, for me, there's plenty of other things in the world that are more serious than this guy being juiced off his Nelly. For me, I'd have watched the fight and that'd have been that. But anyway, listen, this was poor. He might as well not said nothing. That's what his team should have done. He didn't say nothing, didn't get ahead of it, and this is very bad. Very bad. Don't answer no question. Oh, we dropped our license because we feel we've been treated unfairly. Nah, people don't drop their license because they've been treated unfairly. That's what they don't do. That don't make no sense. Because someone only drops their license if they don't want to be fighting the UK under that license anymore. Nothing to do with being unfair. There's a process. There's a what do they call it? There's a process you can go through. A grievance process. Anyone can go through to try to resolve claims of unfairness and biasness. None of which involve dropping your belt. Particularly now. Normally, what he could do or say is, oh, my name's Conor Benn, I've been treated unfairly, and we're going to pursue the grievance process and or the legal process. Then, after you've pursued the grievance and or legal process, if you don't win, you can then say, the public see my case, it's clear I was treated unfairly, I'm now dropping my belt. This guy didn't even turn up. The BBBOC just said on the 21st, Conor refused to, what's the word? Conor didn't want to, the BBBOC said Conor didn't even want to deny the charges. And in fact, let me get that right now. Here it is, look. I'm pretty sure this document says that he didn't even try and fight it. By notice dated 17th, Mr. Conor Benn was called by the board to attend a hearing to deal with the allegations of misconduct. The hearing took place on the 21st. On the morning of the hearing, Mr. Benn voluntarily relinquished his licence. In accordance with its rules and regulations, the board determined the allegations following a hearing, at which Mr. Benn was legally represented. The allegations of misconduct against Mr. Benn was upheld. But it doesn't say here. This implies to me that Conor Benn turned up and dropped his belt, which cancelled the whole process. Hence why the allegations of misconduct were upheld. You understand? Don't tell to me that these guys fighting it. Because if you turn up to the hearing for misconduct and you go in there and say we're dropping, that essentially ends the case. Going in there saying I'm no longer a licence holder, that ends the case. And they know that. This thing wouldn't be wholly wrapped up in, from what I understand, this whole thing wouldn't be wrapped up in one hearing. Usually. It implies it wasn't even contested. I mean, the guy wasn't even there. Conor wasn't even there. And yeah, of course, you can have lawyers there. But still, this whole thing implies Conor Benn didn't even contest it. Conor Benn went there, dropped his belt. Well, he wasn't even there. Conor Benn sent his team. And that shows you Conor Benn wasn't serious about going through the actual judiciary process. Because if he was, he'd have been there. Even Tyson Fury, when Tyson Fury had his thing, I remember seeing him leaving the court, etc., etc. That's normally what someone does who's taking it half serious. The fact that he didn't even rock up, and when his representatives did rock up, they just dropped his belt. They didn't even go through the process. That's why it was just automatically upheld. Anyway, you've seen the statement. The guy's a goober. And it's looking like a whole wrap for him right now, 100%, no doubt about it.